Thank you very much indeed for that welcome, picking me up a bit too much, I think. But it's really great to be back in Athens, and I've been welcomed here several times before. As an advertiser as well, I remember coming to an outdoor conference and talking about advertising in car parks, believe it or not. Anyway, here we are today, today I've got a few items to talk through. Yes, it's true that the UK online market probably leads the world for share. Now, £1 in every 3 is spent online and on mobile in the UK. It's something like 6 points ahead of television and over 10 points ahead of press. And that's still growing. You know, by the time we've counted all the money for 2013, I would expect it to be in the mid-30s somewhere. That's really exciting, but it's also meant that advertisers and agencies have re-looked at it again and again to say, well, how much, what percentage should we be investing in online? And I'm delighted to say that companies like Unilever and the packaged goods sector are now leading the way. So I've got some charts to show you on that too. But the other key thing is that we really are now moving into internet advertising 3.0, mainly because of mobile and mobile devices and their penetration into the market and the usage and the shift of page views onto those devices is also dramatic. And that means that the consumers are actually really ahead of us, let alone the agencies and the advertisers. They're just way ahead in what they're doing. And retailers are struggling to keep up with the sheer demand on m-commerce, for example. And the other point is about data. And we've had some great presentations on data. The Adobe one was superb earlier on. But that really is oiling the wheels big time. So the move into programmatic trading for display is also moving pretty fast. But on the agenda there we can see, I'm going to do a bit about the UK market. We've done a mobile retail study. I thought that would be really appropriate to look at if we are the nation that spends the most per head online anywhere in the world, then how are we set up to cater for the mobile market and what's happening there. We've also got a new piece of research which is really hot off the press. I've got a few slides about it. It's called RealView, and this is where we actually looked at consumers who have mobiles and tablets and obviously televisions through cameras hanging around their necks to actually look at real behaviour and then ratifying that through quantitative research. I've got a few films to show as well, and some trends to discuss at the end. So let's get moving. The UK market, I could put hundreds of slides here, but I've chosen about 5. In 2009, we launched the audience research through UK online measurement. Our first data supplier was Nielsen, now it's Comscore, and I'm glad to say that's now moving across mobile and tablet to measure usage. The population is about 64 million, but actually when you take away young kids and people who don't need to be online, we've got 44.6 million citizens online. About 9 million should be on who aren't on. And obviously, there are all sorts of government schemes, and we're trying to help to get them online too. But basically, we're well over 80% penetration for online. Broadband is everywhere, so the average speed is about 20 meg now in the UK, and a lot of us have 50. You can see the top sites there. They're the usual suspects: Google, Facebook, YouTube, eBay, Amazon, BBC, which is our British Broadcasting, Yahoo, Wikipedia, and a couple of MSN sites. But companies like Tesco would also get into the top 20. They're a big retailer, and they're doing a lot in online. Also, they're acquiring companies like We7 for music downloads and Blinkbox for video, and taking digital really seriously. This is one of the most dramatic slides. This shows you the penetration of smartphones into the total population, not just the online population, and the penetration of tablets. So if we go back to 2010, we had a 25% penetration of smartphones. If you wind that forward, 2013, right now as I speak, 68. But by the time we've had Christmas and by the time we get into Q1, it'll be 75% of the total population and growing. Tablets is an amazing story because 2010, nobody had one. That's when they were launched. But if you look from 2012 to 2013, it doubled from 13 to 25. And again, we would expect after a tablet-tastic Christmas, with lots of lower cost models coming out. Obviously we've had the Amazon Kindle Fire, but Tesco are launching one, Asda are launching one, they're owned by Walmart. And these are things that cost about £100 instead of £400. Sorry, I'm always saying pounds. Basically a pound is worth, it's 85 pence to €1, so a pound is a little bit more than €1. If 50% of the population having tablets, will again change behaviour irreversibly. I want to actually look at this slide here first, because this is from our 3 screens research looking at time of day for people with tablets, mobiles and desktops. So if you look at the mobile one, which is the orange one, you can see that the morning is a great time for that, commuting, using the mobile phone. During the afternoon, the desktop and laptop seems to be the thing to use at work. In the evening, though, the tablet is absolutely in the ascendant. That's what people are using. Yesterday I read a report from John Lewis, who are one of our biggest retailers, and Marks and Spencer's were there as well, saying they expect m-commerce, people shopping for their Christmas presents, to double this year versus last year. And they've even looked at the trends and how people are using their tablets, particularly for time of day, and their mobiles. John Lewis was saying people are getting up and they're using their phone to wake them up at 6 o'clock in the morning. They've got a family, and they're literally checking their emails, and they're starting to look at things, shopping at that time, but they're actually doing their shopping in the evening. So while the television's on and there's a soap opera, they can even see spikes in traffic when the ads come on the telly, where people are shopping on their mobiles. So this is a rapid change in behaviour that we're having to get to grips with. So going back to the money, if I may, in 2012, 31% of all digital spend went online. There you can see the figures, 31% for digital, 25% for television, 20% for press, and about 20% the rest. That was a 17.6 billion market then. In the first half of 2013, the whole lot has grown by 17.5%. So in the first half, we've got 3 billion. So I would think by the end of 2013, it'll be a 6 billion market totally. And you can see the share between search, display, and classified. But what's more important and more interesting is that the growth in display is being driven by social, which is growing at 55%, video, which is growing at 85%. And that's interesting because a couple of years ago it was growing at 100, and then it went down a bit to 60, and now it's gone back up again to 85. The reason for that is that mobile video is growing at 1,200% from a low base, but it's gone crazy from out of nowhere, growing at 1,200%. And mobile itself is growing at 130% year on year. So whilst the whole thing is growing at 17.5, we've got these kids within that parent family of digital growing at an alarming rate. We saw just now some categories in the Greek market, and it sounds as though finance is doing really well over here and food is doing pretty well. I mentioned packaged goods. That's what we call consumer goods. We're very pleased that that's now 18.2% of total display in the UK. A few years ago, like 5 years ago, that would have been down at 6 or 7%. Now it's 18. And finance, which was number 1 all the time, 4 years, is now number 2, 5 points below. What's even more interesting is when you split the mobile display out, packaged goods is 28% of mobile display. And the number one leader for years in mobile was entertainment and media. Because if you think of films and music and games and gambling and everything that's within entertainment and media, was like 70 or 80% of advertising on mobiles when smartphones were first measured for advertising. So it's significant, and it's great that Unilever are here today because their advertising on social, on display and video is remarkable. And they don't just look at the numbers, you know, they really do work with their heart. If you look at Dove advertising, for example, they were one of the first to do a genuine Dove viral with a real person, which illustrated their campaign of real beauty in 2005. And that campaign is still running now, and they're using online really, really well to drive that. So to put some numbers on the mobile business, and also to do a bit of a comparison with the total online, for the first half it is 429. That's pretty much €500 million on its own in the UK. So I very much expect that to be a 1 billion market by the time the year's finished. What we've done here is we've got a 10-year chart. So you can see online from 1998 through to 2004. And you can see mobile from when it was first counted in 2008. And it pretty much mirrors the growth. But I think by the time we finish with 2013, it will be above that 825 million that online was back in 2004. It'll be over 1 billion. So it could be going a bit faster than online was if you look at the 10-year gap. This is about optimization. So what I mean by this is mobile is so important that if you're an advertiser, your site should be optimized for mobile so that when people go to it, they're not having to, to expand it and try and work with it. That's a terrible experience, really bad. Particularly if you're a retailer or somebody you want your customer to actually do business with you. So at the IAB, what we do is we painstakingly go to everybody's site and have a look and see if their homepage is optimized, see what else is optimized. We look at the top 100 advertisers. To put that in perspective, you'll have the top ones spending 180, 200 million pounds a year. But even the 1,000th biggest advertiser in the UK overall spends $1 million. So we're just looking at the top 100 here. When we first did the dip, a third, 37% in August 2012, were optimized for mobile. The rest weren't. Moving it forward a year, so August this year, we've got 58%. I mean, it's okay, but I think it's a bit of a crime, frankly, that we've got 40 of the top 100 advertisers. They'll be in the FTSE index, they'll have major shareholders who aren't optimized for mobile, which means when their customers land there, it's rubbish, and they're going to go away, and they're not going to spend time with them, and they're not going to do business. We've even looked at this, particularly in retail. So really where the rubber hits the road, where the people they're at home doing their mobile shopping. These are the companies. You can see Tesco, Boots, John Lewis, Marks and Spencer, Sainsbury's. So slightly different set. This is the top 50 retailers, and 74% of them overall are optimised for mobile. Only 8% of them optimised for tablet. That's really a crime because the shopping experience on the tablet is really easy. In fact, our research shows, when I show you RealView, that shopping's become a hobby. It's actually a pastime now. That people are just spending time on Amazon or eBay or on John Lewis or Tesco's, just browsing around, looking for stuff. So not being optimised for tablet is bad. Only one of them, so 2% of the 50, one of them, actually had a responsive web design. What that means is that no matter what size the screen, the content automatically reformats to a small mobile via a tablet from a PC. And that's Curry's. Now interestingly, when I first took over at the IAB, I went to see Dixon's, Curry's, PC World. They're all owned by the same company. And in 2005, they weren't even doing any search. They weren't even doing PPC search. The marketing director said to me, actually, what we do, we have an affiliate campaign. Now, affiliate means that you're passing the risk to another company to do all your search for you or to do your online marketing for a commission. And now, wind the clock forward sort of 8 years, and they happen to be the only one that's got a responsive web design. So they've obviously learned a lot of lessons, and they're doing a lot better. A couple of other things. Half of them have a GPS store locator, which for a retailer, as people are moving around, location is really important. Having that device in your hand so that you're that far away from point of sale, a store locator becomes extremely important. There's a load of other things you can do with a mobile phone besides that, but a store locator would be the first thing you should do. What about having an app? If you can actually get somebody into a walled garden where they can do your shopping without zipping off somewhere else, on a tablet, on a mobile phone, the store is better for that. So actually 62% of the retailers have an app for their service on a mobile, and a third of them have it on a tablet, and some of them have it on both. That would be a convenient way of getting shopping done. So there's the optimization survey and retail. This one is our primary research for this year, where, as I say, we've had consumers wearing fisheye lenses. Is this real view for real behaviour? It's actually real behaviour at an IAB conference. People do absolutely sit there looking at their screens, but these people don't know each other. So let's have a look at some real stats from real behaviour. We've got 600 hours worth of fisheye lens viewing. What happens is the camera takes a picture every 5 seconds of whatever you're doing. So if you're looking at your phone, it's got that. If you're looking at a tablet, it's got that. If you've got the TV on in the background, it has that. And we've got quotes where there's also a sort of mobile aquarium where people can just talk into what they're doing. And these individuals, they're part of a research study, but she's saying, well, I saw this thing, address on the homepage at Yahoo, and it prompted me, and I'll go back there later. We've also done a quant survey off the back of it, so we can have a look at the product stories that seem interesting to do with usage. So first thing, downtime, dead time, kind of doesn't exist anymore for people. It's going. When I have downtime, I hardly just sit there, I check my smartphone. Even when people are in a group of friends and there's a lull in conversation, they're checking their mobile phone. Do you remember people used to pretend they're on the phone when they're in bars waiting for people so they didn't look like loners? That's something that used to happen, but people don't have to do that now. They can just be larking about on their phone, and that's become what's taken over from downtime. Then this multi-screening being the norm, where people don't just have one screen, they've got a couple. 98% have two, and mostly people have smartphones and laptops, but increasingly that's going to be a tablet. Will maybe replace the laptop, but wait and see, because it depends whether you're using it for business or not. But people have a couple of devices. And young people are quite happy to use two devices at the same time. So we reckon that no downtime plus multi-screening equals omni-screening. We've developed this omni-screening word and even given it a Twitter handle. So that is a key dynamic of this thing. And as we move on to this research, we can actually look at the amount of time people are using their phones and their tablets, how much e-commerce they're doing, and whether dead time is completely out. I want to just go on to social and show you a film in a minute, but I'm also conscious that the football is going to be on in Brazil next year, and we've had two tournaments in 2010, where I think Spain won, and the Euros in 2012. And this is looking at social media using Twitter, texting, Facebook. And if you look at 2010, during the World Cup, All the activity was before and after the game. So actually people generally watched the game, but afterwards they were saying, blimey, we beat you. Whereas if you look at the 2012 Euros, all the activity is during the game. And it's all live and in real time. That may not seem like a great big deal, but the fact that people are operating far more in real time now is a fact of life. And it's only a few years ago that it was all before and after, and now that it's all during. I want to show you a film by Bodyform. Bodyform is a sanitary towel, so it's for ladies every month. They're going to use this thing. And somebody, a real person, went onto Facebook to make a humorous complaint about their television advertising. And his name is Richard. And he said, you always seem to have ladies full of freedom and fun, because everything's fine at the end of the month. That's not the same story with my girlfriend, etc., etc. And he was trying to do this thing tongue-in-cheek, but Bodyform won our Boldest Brand Award. This is an IAB award that we do in our Creative Showcase. Boldest Brand Award for actually answering him back and coming back with a really funny film, which I know we've had to load onto a new computer up there on Facebook, so on YouTube. But it got 3 million views, tweeted to death, and it got coverage through mainstream media as well. And this lady here, pretended to be their CEO. So let's see if we can make it work.
Hello, Richard. I'm Caroline.
Hang on. Have you got it on the other computer up there?
I'm sorry to be the one to tell you this, but there's no such thing as a happy period.
Bodyform have finally come clean in a spoof video hitting back at a tongue-in-cheek complaint posted on their Facebook page. Disgruntled boyfriend Richard Neal claimed the brand had lied to us for all these years about that time of the month, and Bodyform rather cleverly say they're sorry.
We lied to you, Richard, and I want to say sorry. Sorry. What you've seen in our advertisements so far isn't a factual representation of events. You're right. The flagrant use of visualization such as skydiving, rollerblading and mountain biking, you forgot horse riding, Richard, are actually metaphors. They're not real.
Fictional CEO Caroline Williams reveals they were just trying to protect men from the truth, but Richards let the secret out.
You did that, Richard. You. Well done.
And just in case he didn't know...
Oh, sorry, Richard. You did know that we do that too, didn't you?
Bodyform sure know how to spot a golden PR opportunity.
We like that. That's Bodyform. And it just is a really brave thing, because I can't remember how many conferences or dinners I've hosted where brands used to say, oh, we really don't know how we can sort of let the brand go onto social media. Particularly actually banks, some travel companies as well, very nervous about social media. And their corporate brand governors extremely nervous about social media. But since it's taking up something like 35%, if you look at total entertainment and social media and video, the online has become an entertainment medium now. Let's face it, years ago it was an information medium. It's a two-way, entertainment medium that we have now. So brands are becoming a lot braver. And we just thought that, particularly in the FMCG category, in the packaged goods category, Bodyform were extremely brave. Now, I'm just going to check that. Yeah, I've got that. Few trends to talk about is programmatic trading, which I would say started in the UK about 3 years ago. Display is now something like 15 to 20% of total display will be traded on real-time bidding. All the agencies have the desks. There are about 5 exchanges running. It started, I would say, the largest percent of programmatic trading started with retargeting. So that's where somebody goes to an e-commerce site, they leave, and actually you want to throw them back in there with a promotion or an advert, and that's where the majority of programmatic trading started. One key for publishers, of course, was, well, what's going to happen to my yield? You know, am I still going to be able to make a respectable CPM out of it? So we have the growth of private networks where you can set a floor, and the rise of SSP, sales-side platforms, working with them. Then there's, well, are we going to see any brand advertising through programmatic? There's some, but not very much. However, companies like Videology are coming in and working on for video. Mobile will come along. My personal view is that display, I don't know when, but in some time, will be 70 to 80% programmatic traded, and 20 to 30% will be traded with in-house teams, because they're doing specials, they're doing native, they're doing sponsorships and premium formats. But there's no reason why a very high yield, high CPM style advertising couldn't be programmatically traded in the future, because if it's easier and more convenient, technology will out, you know. So, and I think that whole lesson about if it's better value and it's more convenient, these things just happen. Then everyone's a publisher and content creation. Advertisers had to learn to be interesting, useful, funny, create their own content. Facebook's been great for that because they've learned sort of how to do it. One phenomenon in the UK is social video is growing really fast. So this is through the Beyonds, which will go viral, and Unruly companies who will take advertiser-made video and put it across channels so that it gets shared, and even give you a share quotient so you can see how it's been sent round. And as we're seeing mobile video growing at over 1,000%, video is absolutely where it's at the moment. Is native advertising quite a big buzzword over here right now? It certainly is in the States. It certainly is at ΙΑΒ UK. When we put a conference up about native advertising, there is queues. We have to beat people away because it's the big buzzword thing that's going off. But I guess advertiser-funded content has been going for decades and decades. You know, you've had advertising features in the press and magazines, which would have been made with agencies to look like part of the editorial, and therefore maybe have more dwell time, be more engaging. But that's become really easy online, and there are a lot of publishers offering that. The controversial part of it is, well, how do I know it's an advertiser? There was a thing in the paper today, actually, about a complaint from an advertiser about, from a member of the public about native advertising. And one of the answers was, well, if you take Vogue magazine, the advertising in Vogue looks like the editorial, actually. You know, it's really high premium stuff. So where's the beef? However, I think that can give us more high yield content, and we'll see exclusive deals between publishers and advertisers who basically want, you know, 5 to 10 deep relationships with publishers, and that will certainly grow. I think Randall probably spoke about this in his opening address this morning, and in the UK we're working with them too on the Making Measurement Make Sense project, of which viewable impressions is Exhibit A. We think it's important that impressions are sold on the basis that they are viewed and they can command a higher price. And it looks like Q1 2014 is a key time for an industry standard to come out, at least for the universal ad package formats. Then on audience measurement, I'm glad to say in the UK we are now just launching a cross-platform that gives you online, mobile and tablet and the apps audience measurement through hybrid methodology, great big panel, as well as the tags across the users. So unified audience measurement is something that people have been crying out for. It's like a holy grail of audience measurement, and it looks like it's coming in the UK at least. Then location, which is what estate agents go on about, but honestly, it's the USP of mobile. And I thought I'd show you one ad, which I think does this rather well. It's through McDonald's, and it's from Australia. And actually looks at the ingredients for McDonald's, where they come from, using location software and GPS software and virtual reality. So if we can just play this, it tells us how it works. Do you need to switch the sound to the other? I didn't know. Okay, I'll explain how it works then. Basically, these are all the ingredients that they can track. It looks at the actual food bought in the store by taking it up into the cloud of all the farms and bakeries and so on that McDonald's will use. When you use your phone, your app, to scan the barcode on the pack, it can actually go up there and look for the ingredients for that particular store in Sydney, for example, and that's where the fun starts. So it'll say, right, here's the bun, here's the cheese, here's the lettuce, here's the pickle, here's the beef. Click on the beef, oh look, it's come from farmer so-and-so's. And you can actually see the farm being built there with the farm, and you can read the beef story of where it's come and how good it is, which makes McDonald's look jolly wholesome. And it's we think, a lot of fun, and quite a complex thing to do. So when they print those cartons for that store, it has to have a unique identifier for all the different ingredients, in case the consumer goes for the bun or the beef or the fillet of fish. And there's even personal messages from the suppliers of McDonald's, clearly covering a concern of their consumers, who'd want to check out where it's come from. And I think a really clever, it goes beyond store locator, this thing, that goes right into the product itself, and does something dead clever. If there's no sound coming on the next one, it won't be so brilliant, but I just wanted to finish with a fun app, really. This one's called, do you want to see if you can make it work? Before this one comes on, we've downloaded one called Face Swap as well. I don't know if anybody's heard of Face Swap. So many of us do these selfies with the phone, take a picture of ourselves. Well, sometimes we're with somebody else, like this. So you take a picture of somebody else, but with Face Swap, it has facial recognition, so it knows exactly where the faces are, and then when you turn it round, you can actually swap my facial features, say with yours, so that I would have your hair, and you'd have my face. And it is really funny. Go and search for it. It's called Face Swap. You can do it with dolls and all sorts of stuff as well. Even sometimes it might recognise an animal's face. This one's called Auto Dance, where even if you can't dance, you can. So it'll choose 4 movements and put it to music, which you can... doesn't look like it is. So even this bloke who can't dance, they're checking those 4 images and saying, right, I have that one, and that one. And then you can choose the track that you want to do it to. It's not actually Barbra Streisand, it's a disco track called Barbra Streisand, which is really groovy. And then when it finalises it, then actually makes them dance. It actually looks really good. And there's a kid doing it. Again, all these things are up to 4 movements. So you can have a dog wagging its tail, kid waving, that bloke, it's people working the road, babies. And all these things using, some interesting mobile technology that consumers can harness through apps. So have a look at Face Swap as well. That's really funny. And that's where I am. So thanks very much for listening, and I hope you